What's going on? Welcome back to Trending Stocks. Today we're going to talk to you about SoFi. Give you a quick overview of some of the data points, what really moved it today, and go over everything else you need to know. But first, make sure to hit that thumbs up. And with that, let's get right to it. So starting off, SoFi did close 1.67% in the green, 16.17 the low, 16.61 the high. So a new 52-week high for SoFi. Very good way to end the week. A lot of broader market optimism and a lot of analysts are starting to come out quite optimistic about next week, about jobs data, so that might be able to give SoFi the next leg up. I think this week was more consolidation, but in a very much needed way, because for the week it did go up 2.5%, so still fairly good. And I think in general, consolidation is still good for just the broader aspect for the technicals. But at the same time, you did see a fair amount of volume. So 31.3 million for volume, 58.09 is the average. Keep in mind the market did close earlier, but options activity, that was on fire. So I'm going to go over that, but no actual news associated to SoFi, no SEC filings. So a lot of which, what really drove it higher was broader market optimism as well as technicals. And so today was also a very key day to watch for in regards to shorts. And of course, if there was going to be abnormal activity, then it would be fair to assume that whoever is shorting SoFi would be more so foreign entities, but it kind of came in line with the norm. So nothing really crazy. Shorts did return 1.3 million shares. 13.37% of the free float is being shorted. Works out to be 142.47 million shares overall are being shorted. So most likely it is just American entities that are kind of betting against SoFi. This cost to borrow minimum back at it. So they took like a 2-day hiatus for the most part. So cost to borrow minimum is negative 0.02. Again, on an annual basis, it's not that big of a deal, but still, someone's trying to drum up some business, and you know what? Who cares? SoFi has been on a phenomenal run, and shorts have been the only entities out there to really lose their asses. So pretty good stuff in that regard. But as far as this, so once again, factoring in the market was relatively, it closed at 1 central. There was 26 million in calls, 3.45 million in puts. Just showing you this right here, like it looks like a normal day. 29.1 million in total premiums. That is absolutely amazing. And not only that, this puts over calls is very, very low. So 0.3. So meaning there's a hell of a lot more optimism surrounding SoFi. And last time it was at that 0.3, it did go through another kind of push higher. So honestly, I think that is somewhat expected. This is the volume from today. So there's a consensus for it to be above that 18 by next week. Bears are anticipating for it to be sub 15. Looking at the open interest, especially with today being Friday, there was a grand total, I did calculate it, 56,000 in open interest. So essentially anything above this $16 strike price, so the $16.50 and onwards, regrettably is kind of worthless, but that's kind of the downfall of doing options. But regardless, 56,000 is in the money, so meaning market makers are going to no doubtably cover some of that, whether that be Monday or even after hours today, they could still essentially trade. So yeah, that is absolutely epic stuff. And so you're not really seeing shorts try to suppress SoFi as once it did, like when it was in the like $7 to $9 range, or even in like the $6 range. It always got suppressed below strike prices. I think shorts have just lost all will to kind of manipulate it. So I think that's kind of a good thing. But aside from that though, these are all the transactions that did occur on the secondary market above $100,000. So a fair share of transactions, and historically speaking, today is very, very low. One of the lowest days in the whole year. So generally to see this amount of volume is very positive. So 1.9, 1.7, 2 million. You had a big one right here, 15 million, and a couple of big transactions throughout the day. First thing as well, 6.2. So yeah, honestly, big money is still looking at SoFi despite it going up. And one thing that a lot of people are starting to bring up, more specifically the bears, is the forward PE. Currently sitting at, I think, 122. I think this is wrong. I think it's like at 130 in reality. But aside from that though, a lot of people are starting to say that SoFi is just overdone, and I kind of tend to disagree. And the only reasoning is the market's trying to digest how the financial sector is going to look under a Trump administration. So potentially with more rate cuts as well. That's one thing that did come out on a side note, is JP Morgan did state that for this upcoming December 18th Fed meeting, there might be a 50 basis point cut. So that's kind of out of the blue. I don't think anyone was really anticipating that, but they're seeing that come to fruition, possibly. So once again, I think the whole finance sector is kind of being turned on its head, especially with rate cuts. Very, very good data. Trump, which generally does help a lot of American stocks, exactly. So I think a lot of people are trying to determine how that is going to look. So once a stock is trying to find its appropriate price, and I think in reality as well, the earnings per share coming from analysts, a lot of them have been giving good ratings, but this hasn't really been essentially being updated. So this does directly really correlate with the forward PE, right? So a lot of these estimates I think are rather conservative. So even the high end, I think they all do need to get bumped up by another like 20% in reality. So that's just my viewpoint. I can do more of a dedicated video all about that essentially, but yeah, I just wanted to bring that up because more and more people are starting to say that SoFi is just overdone. So just wanted to kind of bring that up vaguely. But with it at 1641, it is trading between this R3 and this R2. So 1708 is going to be that next strong target for SoFi to be hit going into next week. And potentially that would equate to another new 52-week high. And then you never know, once that does get hit and broken, then potentially this is where you could see roughly around that $18 range, which is the options, what that is signaling. But 1629 is going to be that next strong support. A couple of things to note. Next week, you do have on December the 3rd, the UBS Global Tech Conference that I can't remember if it's Anthony or Chris participating in, but regardless, that should be fairly good. And as I've signaled, like the actual charts look very, very good. The only thing I just wanted to bring up is the fact that it is rather overbought based on this. But sometimes it's normal for a stock to stay overbought as it goes through more of a correction. So you kind of have to take that with a grain of salt. Jobs data is coming out next week, so dependent on that, you could see some volatility, but stay tuned for my video this upcoming weekend where I go over everything that you need to know. But on the actual chart itself, everything is looking a-okay. It was able to fight back above the ALMA, above the 50, 100, 200-day moving average and everything, even moving over to the 1 month. This is where you're starting to see more of a resurgence, like a second life. So this whole week was rather, I kind of consider it more just consolidation and stuff like that, but realistically, I see higher highs coming, and most likely by probably mid to end of December, I see roughly around like $19 and kind of staying there. But that's just my viewpoint, of course. I could be wrong. So let me know your thoughts on all of that. Don't forget to hit that thumbs up. Hopefully everyone had a good Thanksgiving to the Americans out there, and also for everyone else. Hopefully everyone has a good upcoming weekend. One final thing I do want to share with you though, I did launch a Patreon where I'm giving buy signals on stocks, options, and crypto. So pop over there, link in the description below, and also the comments to take a look at some of my buy signals. A lot of them have been absolute bangers, so definitely pop over there to take a look. With all that said, appreciate all you watching.